Hi, this is Lynn Charles for 4pointe, and I'm back again with my series of interviews about point shoes, point work, point technique, and stories from different teachers, dancers, and students about their experience with point. And today I'm here with a very lovely and really good friend of mine, Desiree Ballantyne. I will let Desiree tell you a little bit about herself. Hi, Des.
Hi, Lynn. Um,
Where are you from originally?
okay, I am born in Toronto, Canada, but I grew up in London, and that's where I did all of my training. I trained at the Royal Ballet School and English National Ballet School. And from English National Ballet School, I went into the company, where I danced for a long time. I became a soloist. And then from English National Ballet, I freelanced for a little bit, and that's when I had the amazing opportunity to meet you, Lynn. And from there, we started working together, and I joined Bayerische Staatsoper in Karlsruhe. And yes, this is where I've been now for, I think it must be 3 years now. So,
Actually, I think it's going on 4 years now.
yeah, actually, September, I guess it will be 4. Where does the time go?
Well, this is the fourth year because
It is.
Bridget had 5 years and she has one more year after this one. So this is the fourth season.
Okay. So it's 4 years.
Yeah. Um, so you started your training then in London.
Yes, yeah.
And I wanted you to tell me a little bit about what your first experience with point class was like, and your first experience in general with point, and how old you were, and how was it?
Yeah. So my first experience with point work was going to the Freed store in London at 9 years old to get fitted for my first pair of point shoes, which was so exciting. I can still remember putting my hands on the bar and being allowed to rise up. It was just like completely thrilling. And yeah, I was captivated. I just found it like so fun. And I did a little bit of point work with my teacher, but I think my real point training started at the Royal Ballet School at 12. Yeah, 12, I think in the second year of the school. And a lot of work at the bar and a lot of releves, and then, gradually building up through the years into center practice and pas de deux class. Um,
So
yeah,
it was a positive and exciting experience for you.
for me, it was very positive, yeah, and very exciting.
Do you
Um,
feel that they developed you according to your age, or do you feel that you were pushed beyond your age? Like, I've spoken with Bridget Zaire, for instance, and she said she was put in a class with kids 2 years older than her. I've spoken with some other people who have said that they were asked to do things in class that they felt were beyond their years. Did you feel your experience was appropriate to your age, or did you also feel, even if it was in a good way, that you were required to do things that maybe you were, now looking back, you were not ready for?
Actually, I would have to say, I think, especially at the Royal Ballet School, it was absolutely age appropriate and very careful and very structured and really step by step. And I mean, I know I've heard of dancers doing like entire solos at 9 on point, things like that. That's definitely not the process at the Royal Ballet School. So I never had that experience of being asked to do something I didn't feel comfortable to do. Um, yeah, I'd say it was extremely structured training. If anything, maybe we could have been pushed a little bit more. It would be the balance would sit more on that side, but definitely not being made to do anything I didn't feel comfortable with.
So you feel then at the Royal Ballet School in your youth, it was a safe and healthy environment and structured to go on to point?
Absolutely, yeah. That's something they were very specific about, because I know from certainly when I was at the school, it was really important for them, the development of the bones, and things can only happen at a certain age. And that's something they were very big on actually at the school.
I remember when I taught for 1 year at the San Francisco Ballet School, I worked with Richard Gibbs. He
Mm.
was a soloist dancer before in Hamburg Ballet with me. We danced together, and then he retired and he went to Harvard and became a medical doctor. And he's now the acting physician for the San Francisco Ballet. And I remember when I started thinking about my work with point teaching, I remember talking to him about when is too soon for
Yeah.
a student to go on point.
Yeah.
And he was saying that, many years ago, it might have been between 12 and 14,
Yeah.
because that is when the bones join together in the foot.
Yeah.
But with evolution, with children going into puberty at 10 instead of 12 or 14, the
Yeah.
bones solidifying and the development of the actual physical body is so different now. So it's really hard to say when is a good time. Also, the muscles in the leg have to be strong enough to carry the young dancer on point. And I wanted to ask you, because I know you have done some teaching.
Yeah.
My feeling is that today, because when I started, I also felt that I was brought up on point. I started very late. I
Yeah.
started dancing at 13. So by
Mm.
the time I was 14, I was on point.
Yeah.
I was already older, and someone who's 13 has a stronger muscle build than a 9-year-old.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, and
Ages.
everything went very fast for me because I started so
Mm.
late.
Yeah.
But what I see now when I look at YouTube or when I look at competitions, I see 9-year-olds, like you said, doing an entire Coppelia pas de deux on point. And I wonder, where are we going? There can be inflicted injuries and problems with small children like this that I think are sometimes the cause of bigger injuries later in life. And I wanted to hear what your thoughts on that were. If you also felt that today things were going too fast and that there was a need maybe to slow down a bit in point training.
Actually, yeah, I completely agree with that. I think there's a real need to slow down actually the training in general. I think this kind of hyper thing of you got to be able to do everything by the time you're 9 actually is wrong. And I have had some conversations with other teachers that a lot of the latest research or thinking about ballet training is that actually maturing the dancer later, say in your case, 13, 14, and intensifying the training at a later age yields a greater result. And I think this is also connected to the fact that nowadays you're not being asked to do just classical ballet. You have to do a wide range of movement vocabulary. So starting off as a young dancer and doing a lot of jazz and a lot of contemporary, a little bit of ballet, but really getting a very broad movement pattern into your body, really getting a lot of coordination in many different styles, and actually specializing later, really focusing on your ballet training when you're that little bit older. Also, I think ballet's hard when you're a kid. It's hard to concentrate for 2 hours and be like super like this. And I think at 13, you can do that. And 14, definitely. 14, I think ballet becomes very exciting. So I think to actually harness that, what we can actually do at what age actually then takes you further. That's just my opinion. I don't think this thing of like, pushing when you're 9. Yeah, okay, you're going to be able to do it. But what happens to that child at 15, 16? Yeah, okay, they could do all the tricks at 9, but are they still wanting to dance at 16? So
Yeah.
I think you can create it because it's also about an artist and a person. And I think strengthening, I don't know, I just think there's a lot to be gained when you're older. I don't think it's all about, oh, I'm 11, I can do everything. So I think also it's because now with social media and how kids are growing up, you're watching all these videos, which is wonderful in one way. But I think the sort of the lesser great side of it is, oh, I have to be able to do that now. So I don't know, there's some balance that needs to be found there, I think.
I was interviewing Bridget Zare, and it was very interesting to hear about her youth, because that's exactly what she said. She said that when she was young, she got to do a lot of performances, but they were jazz and lyrical solos. So she had a lot of performing experience, which gave her the possibility to move and learn to be fluid, but not on point. She said actual preparation, dancing on point, came for her later. Des, are you with me? I think you froze a minute. Des?